My name is Jeanne Tuck. I am a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I'm a daughter of the King, always and forever, no matter what. I'm also a forever recovering codependent who came here to recovery at Cokesbury in July of 2013 at a time when I was just a broken mess. My family of origin story is all good, and I am so very grateful for that today and forever to God for my godly family that He placed me in coming up. However, my family of my making is a totally different story, and it was just a mess, and it was that way until I got out of God's way and He took it over, and then it became miraculous, and that's what I want to tell y'all about tonight. So my goal is not to tell you what I've done since I walked through these doors almost 10 years ago, but I do need you to know that I have worked hard. This recovery work is hard work, and I was only able to do this hard work because God helped me and because this recovery community was so strong in the support and the love that I received. So what I do want to share is what God has done in my life since I gave up that position in the God seat. It's only with His help and the help, love, and support of this recovery community that I've been able to do the hard work called recovery. Back in July of 2013, I was 60 years old, and I had spent a lifetime trying to be everything to everybody. At that time, my life just came crashing down around me. I found myself in my bedroom, face down, beaten down by life events and by my reactions to them. Heartbreaking losses of loved ones, 2 grown drug-addicted children, a medical leave from my job of 33 years, a marriage that was crumbling under all that pressure. That's just to mention a few. I was totally unable to stand on my own. I was totally at the end of my hope. That's when God performed a holy interruption in my life. Had never heard that term until I came here. I heard Mark talk about it on more than one occasion. That's what happened to me, a holy interruption. It truly was for me a Damascus Road experience. And it's when God introduced me to step one. That was at a time when I had no idea what step one was. I'd never even heard of the steps. In my strict Southern Baptist upbringing, never heard of the steps. But to make that very long story tellable in this short time frame, I'm going to say this. Through that traumatic experience, I was forced to admit my powerlessness over everything and everybody in my life. And ultimately, God sent me here to recovery at Cokesbury. Through where the step work, I learned the truth about Him. Because you see, I always thought that, I was saved at a young age, but I thought then I had to be good enough. And when I couldn't be good enough, I just stepped away. But that was not the truth. And when I learned those truths, oh, how those truths, His 4 truths plus 1, changed my life in the most positive way forever. And I'm going to come back to those in just a minute. But now back to what God has done in my life since I got out of the God seat. For me, my husband, and my kids, that's what I want to focus on. My family of my making. First, me. God saved me from myself, from an impossible and miserable existence, which was bound to have led me to a premature earthly death. And when He did that by giving me a brand new heart. And this is what Ezekiel 36:26 says about that. It says, "And I will give you a new heart, and I will put a new spirit in you. I will take out your stony, stubborn, unforgiving," I had that part, heart, "and give you a tender, responsive heart." So not a restored heart, but a brand new heart. A heart where I could love and forgive myself and others just like He does. And along with that, eyes and ears to see and hear like He sees and hears. Have I perfected that? No way. Of course I haven't perfected that. I mean, that's why I'm still here. That's why I keep coming back. But by learning and practicing the recovery tools, I live my life in a totally different way today. And with this new way of life comes His peace and joy like I had never known. And those are His gifts to me. And what comes with that is a reasonable happiness in my life. There's still trouble all the time, but a reasonable happiness is real for me. And then His promise of supreme happiness in my next life with Him and with all my loved ones who believe in Him. And therein lies all my hope. You know, I've got that to look forward to. This earth is not it. This life is not it. Moving forward, my marriage, my precious husband of 38 years, I wish he were here tonight. And I hope he hears this. But God saved my marriage. Those of you who have walked that hard, dark road of drug-addicted children know what a toll it can take on a marriage. The enemy uses that in every form and fashion to just take away the holy sanctity of marriage. With both of our kids going down that road, our marriage had suffered so greatly. We had reached a point where we couldn't communicate about the kids or much of anything else. When in my brokenness I came here, I tried so hard to drag him here with me, to bring him here with me. But guess what? I now know, I didn't know it then, but I have no control over how he processed the fact that we had 2 drug-addicted children. He never came with me. He never picked up the materials, the educational stuff that I laid before him. Still hasn't picked it up to this day. But through my own recovery, especially through working the steps, and with the help of God in this community, I learned to love him right where he was and right where he is today, to take my hands off him too. And when I did that, here's what I learned. He too is a believer in Jesus Christ. He walks his own walk with God. It looks nothing like mine. His heart is full of love. Jesus is in his heart. He loves like God loves. He loves me, his kids and his grandkids, and so many others around him. Those realizations saved our marriage. God saved our marriage. He didn't allow the enemy to take it from us at a point in our marriage when I was ready to walk out the door because of how things were going with our son, primarily the enabling. And I had a friend here who counseled me, and I picked up that phone and I called her, and I can still hear her words today. She said, "Jeanne, don't let Satan get your marriage." Man, I hadn't looked at it in that light, but he didn't get our marriage. My kids, both our kids went down that dark, hard, heartbreaking path of drug addiction. God saved each of them, but in different ways. Because of her battle with drug addiction, our daughter did lose 10 years of her life and almost totally lost her life. And if she had, I would have lost mine too, because I was just as sick as she was in my codependency. And I had tried over that 10-year period everything within my power to fix her. I tried to love it out of her. I tried to control it out of her. Tried to shame it out of her. But I learned, that I had zero power over that. And we were just both almost totally lost causes. And I say, but God, period. But God. As a part of that July 2013 Holy Interruption, when God sent me here, he sent her far, far away. It was Battle Creek, Michigan, but boy, that's a long ways from East Tennessee. She'd never been out of the state of Tennessee by herself. But he sent her there. It was a open-ended, faith-based, amazing rehab facility. And there he used godly people to stand her back up. And this time, she stood with her feet on the rock. And that's where she stands today. And he gave her one of those brand new hearts that I was telling you about. And with her brand new heart intact, she came home. And now she has almost 10 years clean and serene. She married her high school sweetheart in 2016. They began building their lives together. They now have a precious little 2-year-old baby girl, our precious grandchild. And that little child, she just brings a whole new level of light into this world, into our lives. And I just thank you, Jesus, for all of that. Our son, God saved him in a totally different way. His battle with addiction was a lot longer. It was from age 12 up until age 39 when he passed. On his death certificate, they wrote colon cancer. And I say they could have written drug addiction right alongside that. He never broke free from the drugs. It was such a heartbreaking life that he led. But through it all, God gave us glimpses of that person that he created Jeanne to be. He was a precious, beautiful, loving child, and that was still in there. But he never really grew up because the drugs overtook him. My husband and I, we spent a good portion of our marriage trying to fix him, suffering right alongside him, praying, and trying unsuccessfully to fix him. We are very grateful to God for the legacy he leaves through his 2 precious daughters. And now we have a precious baby great-granddaughter through the older one. So we're very, very thankful for that. 2 years prior to his cancer diagnosis, I had detached from him. I had to do that in order to gain and maintain my own health and sanity. And thanks again to God and this community and the recovery tools, I was able to detach with all manner of love. And this was after learning about my powerlessness and after praying for God to let me love him right where he was, because I was so mad at him and so heartbroken by him. But remember that brand new heart? Listen to this. This is what God did here. When that cancer diagnosis came, it was stage 4. But our miracle-working God showed me what he had been up to while I got this in quotes, waited, because I waited so impatiently, and I was always trying to help him. But during that 2-year period, God, he used it to prepare my heart and to prepare Sean's heart for what was to come. When that diagnosis came, he gave me, after that 2-year detachment, the courage to walk into that hospital room. I was scared to death because I didn't know if I would be accepted or rejected. He gave Sean the ability to receive my love with open, hugging, loving arms. He did that. And he also gave Sean the ability to return my love. All of that was possible because God had given Sean one of those brand new hearts in which he now resided. Because you see, Sean made a profession of faith from that hospital bed. And when that happened, he didn't call me. He called his high school football coach, who had turned pastor. And that pastor, football coach pastor, led him through that and witnessed that redemption. And, God just rarely, I've learned this, God rarely uses the frontline family members to save from our compulsions. So it wasn't me, but I am so grateful that happened, because that football coach turned pastor, he is also the person who presided over Sean's services, and he was able to tell that beautiful story of Sean's acceptance of Jesus into his heart. So I know where he is today. And that's another gift that he was given. But in the meantime, he gave Sean this gift. He gave him another 15 months on this earth in which my family was able to walk with him with love through that cancer walk, just with all manner of love and grace. We did that. And that's just like God walks with us every single day, with love and grace. And I'm so thankful for that gift. But his most precious gift of all is that, now Sean is good. No more suffering, no more pain, no more tears. And one day we will be reunited with him, and we'll spend eternity with him and with all of our loved ones who believe, and with Jesus in heaven. And that's just, I can't thank God big enough for that right there. So that's my family of my making God story. And what I want to leave you with is my forever affirmation, which came from all this recovery work. It is 100% based on God's 4 truths plus 1, and it is, as I hear my kids, grandkids saying, this is how I roll. I am, and I always will be, okay, no matter what, because of Jesus. Because of him, God completely forgives me and finds me fully pleasing. He totally accepts me just as I am. He loves me deeply enough to sacrifice his only son. He made me brand new and complete in him. And one day, God will take me and all my loved ones who believe in him to our eternal home. This earth is not it. So I appreciate y'all, appreciate the opportunity to share. I love y'all.